Hey folks, this is Ben Gessel. This is part two of a nutrition with regard to food storage, and again, this is kind of not going in too deep, but you'll get an idea as we go through these minerals and things. Just where, just it's kind of just like how to make sense of what you really need. Because we're gonna talk about all the nutrients, then we're gonna talk about best ways of getting them, like getting these things in food storage. So. And don't just think that supplements are the best thing for you, because that's not necessarily the case. But anyway, so we were in the middle of zinc, and I should mention that you can also find zinc in I think it's like chickpeas and lentils and things. But basically, you're talking about um, um, a lot of fish and meat with some other stuff as well. But especially like oysters, mussels, clams, and yeah. So going on here a little bit. So we've covered iodine, selenium, zinc. Think of it this way, just before we go on any farther. Iodine, sea stuff. Anything from the sea. Selenium, you're gonna have kind of a profile that's more nut seeds oriented, and also a little bit of grains. Um, Zinc, think fish and meat, with a few other things as well that have some zinc and stuff. Okay, magnesium is definitely seeds, and also um, like a few vegetables and things like spinach and stuff. But magnesium and selenium are kind of similar. Where what kinds of foods have those guys? But also almonds have a lot of um, magnesium, and also think also in terms of some of the veggies that have a lot of magnesium also tend to have some calcium. And magnesium and calcium are connected, along with vitamin D and other stuff like that, and vitamin K too and stuff. So, um, so we got iodine, selenium, zinc, magnesium, and so iron can be found in things like a wide variety of foods, prunes, I'm sorry, plums and grape juice even, but of course, everyone knows about red meat, but iron is, and again, it's just a variety of from green leafy vegetables and meats, kind of a variety of things. Um, I'm not worried. And people get enough iron, I think. Magnesium is. I also forgot to mention that a lot of like beans, like kidney beans, can have magnesium and stuff. And it's just that um, in one's food storage, I think it's wise to have fresh beans that you can cook with in water, and also canned beans, like kidney beans, even if you're not crazy about them, because they do have a lot of minerals. Um, it's the grains, nuts, beans, seeds arena that's really wise to have along with some meat and fish and chicken that's canned, um, because of all those, because of all those minerals. Um, okay, so we talked about iodine from the sea, selenium and magnesium, nuts, seeds, right? All that stuff, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, kidney beans, lentils. Okay, and we talked about zinc, and we also talked about yeah, iron, zinc and iron, meat and fish and stuff, um, and shellfish for zinc. Okay, and iodine. So let's talk also just a bit about. Okay, so going on here a little bit, potassium is in a lot of stuff. Potassium's in potatoes, bananas, and sweet potatoes, anything starchy, uh, fruits and vegetables. We're both basically, and chicken and turkey as well. It's in a lot of stuff. So I don't. I think you don't have to really worry about getting your. We do need a lot of potassium as a thing. We need a lot of potassium, but if you eat a healthy diet, you probably get enough potassium. And the RDAs are very high. I think it's probably not realistic to even meet them, um, but that's why it's important to get a lot of produce, a lot of healthy plant foods, and a little bit of fish and chicken, and all that stuff. But it's, chicken and turkey have a lot of potassium. Um, it's good to get some of that stuff in there, eggs and stuff. So okay, so going on here a little bit, phosphorus is in a ton of stuff. I don't probably even need to go into what foods have phosphorus. But in calcium, everyone thinks calcium is just mainly in dairy. It's not just dairy. You can absorb it very easily from a lot of green vegetables. Sorry, guys. There I go. Okay. Okay. So it's calcium is in a lot of stuff. It's in celery. It's in carrots. It's in oranges. It's just that fruits that have calcium don't have it in very high amounts, but it adds up. And then sorry, there we go. Vegetables though have a lot of calcium. The green leafy vegetables, more than you might think, and not just spinach, Swiss chard, and stuff, but yeah. And so salmon, I think, especially with the bones, has a little calcium. I would recommend more plant sources of calcium myself, but usually we get enough calcium, and it's easy also, just like selenium and magnesium. It's easy to not get enough calcium with regard to food storage foods. I don't know why my phone is going so dark here, folks. I'm sorry. This is weird. Sorry about that. Okay. I don't know what's going on here. Okay. I think it's just... Okay. Yeah, that's better. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so... yes, because my awesome light. I don't know. I'm going to try to get out tomorrow and make some more outdoorsy videos, maybe. But so, okay. There's other nutrients like molybdenum. It's basically talking about a lot of beans, beans and again nuts and seeds and stuff, and grains, and then see other minerals I'm not thinking about here. That's most of them actually. There's things like boron. Biotin is actually, I think, technically a vitamin, but boron's in nuts as well as I think apples and stuff, and certain kinds of fruits like that. Of course, you have sodium, but that's in salt, and it's easy to get sodium. It's easy to get sodium in canned stuff, so that's not a problem, definitely. Okay, if I'm just trying to think if I've left anything out. Manganese, but again, that's pretty easy to get a hold of. These M minerals. And sulfur. Sulfur is in. It's pretty obvious where sulfur is at. Let's see. Okay. So, going on here a little bit. The vitamins. So I think you guys know more about where different vitamins are at. Vitamin A is very, I think, very much people are well aware of where vitamin A is. Anything that, like in the orangey, the green vegetables, the yellow orange vegetables, and also fruits a little bit. Yeah, it's vitamin A. Plus, you'll get type of vitamin A. It's a little different in eggs and I think dairy, but yeah. So vitamin A is no problem. I think, and then all the B vitamins. There's a whole bunch of them. B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B12. If you're getting all these foods I've already mentioned with all these minerals in them, you're definitely gonna get enough B vitamins. B12 is the one that vegans and meat eaters are always debating about, because B12 is kind of like K2. It's something you usually find more in animal foods. K2 is natto and certain kinds of, strong cheeses. And B12 is like red meat and like, I know, eggs and stuff. But you can get, um, some people supplement. I think, though, the main thing with the B vitamins and B12 and K2, by the way, is that you probably, you know, you do need. Okay, I'm not gonna. There are vegan sources of B12. It does come from um, a yeasty kind of thing, or it's like a bacteria that actually has B12. And so, if you're a vegan and trying to, you know, I don't know why this is going so dark. Um, I would say just supplement, but definitely, you know what you're doing. I mean, I think I don't know if it's brewer's yeast or, but there's ways of getting B12. Just be aware of what B12 sources are for if you're vegan. But most of us will get some B12 from canned meats and stuff in food storage, or um, dried meats and stuff, jerky and stuff. So okay, that's all. There's all, and then of course B3, like, no, sorry, B2, B2. The order is the thiamine. Is it riboflavin, then niacin? Yeah, and pantothenic acid for B5, B6, and then B12, which is psychobalmin. Yeah. Okay. Vitamin C is a no-brainer. That one's easy. Citrus fruits and fruit in general. And vegetables and stuff. Vitamin D is mushrooms, sunlight. That's the big one, is sunlight. Plus supplements, right? Cod, liver, fish oil, whatever, all that stuff. Um, but yeah, mushrooms and dairy, yeah, but and eggs as well. Salmon. Vitamin D is mostly more of an animal food thing, plus sunlight. And you definitely need vitamin D. That's a big one. That is a big one. It's a huge. It is easy. It would be easy to forget about vitamin D in your food storage. I'll just put it that way. So you do want to have some foods that have vitamin D. Like, it's helpful to have some salmon, canned salmon, that sort of thing. And it's helpful to be outdoors. Hopefully, it's when you're outdoors, you're getting, if it's warm enough, you can get some vitamin D. But you have to be careful if it gets dark and you don't have a lot of vitamin D. If you're living on food storage, that's you have to make sure you have your evaporated milk, or you have to have, your powdered eggs, or whatever it is that you have that has some vitamin D in it. Um, I wouldn't recommend picking wild mushrooms. It's not a good idea unless you know what you're doing, right? So vitamin E is like very much like selenium, magnesium. Vitamin E is sunflower seeds, and peanuts and stuff, nuts and seeds again, and also olives and avocado, kind of the fattier stuff. And vitamin K1 is dark leafy greens, kale and collards and all that stuff. I forgot about chromium. Chromium, by the way, chromium is in like oats and broccoli and like, I don't know, some like certain kinds of seafood and meat and stuff. But it's kind of like fuel food meets vegetables. Sorry about that. So chromium. Like brewers yeast might have some of that stuff too, but broccoli is a big one, I think, there for chromium. Um, but let's see here. So K2, of course, I mentioned before. You can find it naturally natto. I'm supplementing with K2 right now, and I'm gonna give a video about it a little bit later. But that's, I think, all the vitamins. And so just talking about all these foods that have all these, vitamins and minerals, it should be pretty straightforward what foods to focus on with your food storage. Which, pick definitely have some beans, but like lentils and kidney beans. But all pinto beans, navy beans, um, garbanzo beans, yeah, yeah, definitely. Anasazi beans, um, Hazuki beans, all this stuff. Um, yeah, yeah, and and definitely some nuts and seeds. But almonds and peanuts are probably a good idea. You don't have to have a ton of cashews or pistachios, but they are healthy. But if you want to go cheap, peanuts and almonds, and sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds. Those four: peanuts, almonds, pumpkin seeds, and sunflower seeds. Plus maybe a little bit of walnuts, or if you want pistachios. That's the way to go. And hazelnuts are expensive. They're great, but yeah, cashews are expensive too. They can be, so it can be. Um, you don't unless you're really destitute of selenium. Brazil nuts are definitely a little bit overkill there. They Brazil nuts taste like minerals. They're not very appetizing, but they have a ton of selenium. Now, I mentioned this with grains. Um, it's the question of how okay you are with gluten or not, but I think it's a good idea to have some brown rice on hand. Yeah, and some potatoes, but potatoes can be overdone. But yeah, with starches and stuff, sweet potatoes. And thinking about sweet potatoes and potatoes is they can go bad, so they're not ideal for your food storage, but they're great for just kind of they can last a little bit, unless you have like I don't know, instant potatoes or something. I don't know, or you have potatoes as part of a dried food storage thing. But um, yeah, and then you don't need a ton of meat, but it's great to have some seafood on hand. That's for darn sure. And and definitely some chicken and meat. It comes in handy, I think. And but eggs and seafood are really great. And you need complete proteins. So vegans are always trying to make sure they're getting all their complete proteins, but it's a struggle. Just this is one of the reasons why eggs, poultry, meat can be the missing link. Sometimes you get some canned food that has some meat in it, seafood. You're going to be set with all your food that's taking care of your body a little bit. Another way. So it's all important. And then you don't really need dairy, but it's nice to have a little bit, I suppose. Um, and it has some additional nutrients. It's just kind of gums up your system a little bit, I think. But fruits and vegetables, it's good to have them canned. But one of the things that will maybe happen sometimes in an emergency situation is that you talk about you have bioflavonoids and things, phytochemicals, all that stuff that's in fresh produce. That's the one thing that you're not going to get as much of when we're really, um, in trouble. And so it's good to have some of that. Well, how can I put this? It's important to eat a lot of that stuff when you can, because when you can't have a lot of that fresh stuff, you're gonna have to rely on your canned fruit at some point in your canned veggies and stuff, and maybe hopefully find somebody who has a garden or have a garden yourself. But you can get by for quite a while. I think quite a little while without getting a lot of fresh stuff. But you guys want to tell me more about this, as you have more knowledge about this. It's just that's the kind of stuff that helps you stay really healthy, I think. Like top notch. It's the phytochemical stuff. So, yeah, I guess the in summary, just make sure that you're not omitting too many of the big food groups that we know we need to get a fair amount of. Um, and supplements are nice, but they're kind of like the icing on the cake. They should never be in place of a getting your nutrients from whole foods. So I'm gonna wrap this video up here a little bit, but we're talking about with food storage. Um, try to get things like, again, beans, rice, quinoa, uh, dark chocolate and honey are good. Dark chocolate has some good, a lot of nutrients in it. Iron's a, but so dark chocolate, honey, rice, quinoa, beans, sheep nuts, seeds, uh, um, oatmeal if you don't mind the gluten, um, powdered eggs or dehydrated eggs, canned fish, like canned oysters, canned clams, that sort of stuff. Maybe a little bit of powdered milk if you are okay with that stuff. Hot cocoa is good. Um, some people are big on things like beef jerky. That's a good idea as well. It's just that stuff will probably go pretty quickly. So you probably want to have some canned meat, canned chicken of some sort, like beef stew, whatever, carrots and peas. Get some of that stuff with the meat, and get some canned fruit. And some people say also it's a good idea to have some hard candy, because sugar is kind of a nice little energy boost. All I can say is sure, but within reason. It's a nice little treat, right? But probably a good idea to have cinnamon, like real cinnamon, like cinnamon sticks, and dark chocolate and honey for your sweets. But that's, a little bit of hard candy is nice to have on hand too. All right. I will catch you guys later. Leave me thoughts and comments below. Catch you guys later. Take care. Bye.